My good peoples, welcome to the Awkward Beginnings podcast. Hope y'all having a good Wednesday afternoon. And I'm here to show y'all a video that hit the scene, I think, 2 days ago. It was about Luce Cannon's father, whose name is George Williams. And he looks just like Luce Cannon, you know what I'm saying, to begin with. Yeah, his name is Luce. His name is George Williams, and he's serving a life sentence. And um, I'm not sure what prison he's in, but I know he's locked up here in California somewhere, and he is serving a life sentence for, I believe, two bodies. Um, Let me see. So y'all be patient with me. I'm gonna see if I can get it on for y'all. But yeah, he's serving two life sentences for two bodies, and I would like to say the apple don't fall far from the tree, man. Messing with this dude, loose cannon. Um, he's a liar, just like his father, man. He's just like his father, and they look just alike. And he's gonna mess around and be just like his father. Some of the stunts that he's doing online and stuff. He's eventually gonna be locked up just like his darn father. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all be patient with me real quick. I'm gonna find this video, play with y'all. And it comes from it comes from a YouTube channel called 504 Media. I believe this guy is out of Louisiana, and y'all go over there and check him out. He's got some pretty good content, you know what I mean? So y'all go check him out. So, yeah, y'all hold on one second, y'all be patient with me while I find this video. But yeah, this dude looks just like Loose Cannon too. But the thing about him is this he I guess he was a hood hopper. He was from Anthony Park, Hoover, and Rolling 60s. How he was able to slip between the cracks, I have no idea, but gangbanging don't have a application department or a research department, so I guess people can't slip through the cracks and stuff, in these times. So yeah, he was able to slip through the cracks and be from three different LA gangs, you know what I mean? So it's a little weird, a little bit weird. Yeah. But yeah, he's serving a life sentence right now, and I don't know if he'll ever be out of jail, to watch his son's ups and downs, Yeah, like I said, the apple don't fall far from the tree, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, his fool looks just like his darn father, man. So y'all hold on. This is Loose Cannon, aka what was his name? Loose Cannon, aka Loose Coochie, aka Radio, aka Loose Coonin. You know what I mean? You got a million nicknames, but Y'all check this out. Get right to y'all right now. Yeah. So here we go. Right here, y'all. Y'all check this out. But yeah, this is the video that they put out about him, and here it goes right here, y'all. Here it goes right here, y'all. Here it goes right here, y'all.
This question for Scandalous TV. He said, Rose said my daddy's a rat, right? I seen my daddy 3 times my whole life. And it was in San Quentin prison, right? If Cuz is a rat and there's paperwork on Cuz is a rat and all Cuz. Dead homie.
I'm back with another.
Blued up 6-0 on my hat and blue laces, blue everything.
All right, y'all. Here's the video right here. This is a pretty funny video, man. So yeah, y'all don't want to miss this. This is Loose Cannon, aka Football, aka Loose Coochie, aka Yellow Bush Shorty. Here we go, y'all. Y'all hold tight. Trying to get this going for y'all. This going for y'all. This going for y'all. This going for y'all. This going for y'all.
If you can keep the shit straight here, because you know,
All right,
business real
here we go,
nigga. Blued
y'all.
up 6-0 on my hat and blue laces, blue everything. You know, business real nigga. 6-0 on my hat.
This dude Loose Cannon. Answer this question for Scandalous TV. He said, Rose said my daddy's a rat, right? I seen my daddy 3 times my whole life. And it was in San Quentin, right? If Cuz a rat and there's paperwork on Cuz is a rat and all Cuz. Dead homie.
I'm back with another video. This one gonna hit different as it encompasses the story of Tremaine Ashley Williams, aka the fake loose cannon's father. In one of my most recent videos, we covered the fake loose cannon and the alleged snitching activity of his pops. However, in this video, we will cover Big Nutty's entire story. Sit back, buckle up. This is going to be a long one. George Brett Williams, adopted as a baby by Charles and Jessie Mae Williams, founders of the Williams.
And yeah, y'all, I guess he was in Folsom Prison. He's still in Folsom Prison where he's spending his life sentence. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say real quick. So y'all check this out. It's a pretty good documentary right here.
Williams' home for children with special needs, was pretty much raised as a Silver Spoon kid. Raised in the couple's Acton Park mansion, George attended private schools. Wanting to fit in with the crowd, at the age of 16, the young George dropped out of school and began out with gang members. Ultimately, George would leave his parents' home when he was only 18 years of age, moving into a nearby rental property owned by his mother, whom was also a real estate agent. The burly 6'3" tall George Williams quickly ascended the ranks of the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, one of LA's largest gangs.
Police say the drugs and violence are being spread to other cities, chiefly by two long-standing rivals in the Los Angeles youth gang scene. Black groups who call themselves Crips and wear blue colors, and Bloods who wear red.
It wouldn't be long before George would become well known as Big Nutty. To other members, Nutty was not at all a classic gang member. He was extremely articulate, intelligent, and a very manipulative young man, which may explain why he was able to rise in the hierarchy of the 60s so quickly. Nutty made bread and earned respect on the streets as a drug and gun dealer who drove a flashy black BMW. Known around town as a high roller, George often times stayed in Las Vegas hotels for free. Over the years, it was alleged that Nutty assaulted several people, supplied the guns used in the 1983 murders of a mother and her 16-year-old son, beat a woman and father, and shot at a police officer who was taking a burglary report. It's a dirty world, but it still spins. Nutty, who initially denied any involvement in the crimes, offered to testify against his homies. During trial, several witnesses came forward to report that Nutty had offered them money to testify on his behalf. Other witnesses would testify that they had been threatened. After the jury returned its verdict, Nutty's wife Monique received permission from the judge to give her husband a new pair of shoes. This, however, was an attempt at smuggling drugs into the prison. Nutty's wife was quickly arrested after the...
Oh yeah, and the platform that this was showed on is 504 Street Stories and Gangster News Network. And let's see, this video was put up 23 hours ago. Just to let everybody know, you can go over to 504 Street Stories and check out some of his other content. This dude got some pretty good stories on this channel. You might want to go up and down his timeline or his library to check out some of his shows and stuff. He's got pretty good stuff over there, y'all. So y'all go check him out. Let's get back to the content.
Bailiff found that the souls were lined with several balloons of heroin. It is these turn of events that brings us to our story. On January the 2nd of 1990, Willie Thomas and in Los Angeles. Their bodies were dragged to a truck parked in the garage, where they were found when the police arrived in response to a neighbor's call reporting gunshots. The prosecution's theory was that Nutty shot both victims in the course of a robbery that had begun as a drug transaction. According to prosecution witnesses, earlier that evening, Nutty had planned to scam the victims through a fraudulent drug transaction by trading fake money for drugs. The victims met Nutty at the bar parking lot. But
as y'all can see, the apple don't fall far from the tree. This guy wasn't a very smart criminal either. You know what I mean? And if y'all can see, he does the same type of dumb stuff that Loose Cannon does, or Radio, or Dumber and Dumber, or whatever people say his nickname is. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, here we go.
Reasons unknown, the transaction did not occur there. Instead, later that evening, the victims came to the Spring Street home, which was a frequent hangout for Nutty and his three homies. According to the testimony of his three homies, all of whom had pleaded guilty in prior proceedings, at both victims. Additionally, two neighbors to the Spring Street home testified that Nutty was present at the house on the night of the killings. The prosecution presented evidence that the pager found at the scene of the crime was Nutty's and that his fingerprints were found in the room where the victims had been shot and on the truck to which the victim's body had been dragged. The prosecution also presented evidence that Nutty fled Los Angeles after the shooting and that upon his return 2 weeks later, he sought to pay some new acquaintances to fabricate an alibi for him for the night of murders. Prosecution presented evidence of the murders and the drug deal surrounding it largely through the testimony of two of Nutty's accomplices, Patrick Linton and Darius Cyprian. Their testimony was corroborated by the testimony of other witnesses, telephone records, and physical evidence. It's no secret that Nutty socialized with Patrick, Darius, and Dino Lee. This group often gathered at the house on Spring Street, where Darius' half-brother, Ernie Pierre, lived. On the upstairs floor of the house was a vacant small apartment where victims Willie Thomas and Jack Barron were shot on January the 2nd of 1990. Darius and his mother, Marcella Pierre, lived in the house across the street. In the week prior to the killing, Nutty mentioned to Patrick that he intended to jack the plug by giving him fake money. On the day of the murders, Nutty...
I never want to see anybody in jail, but it's probably a good idea that the police got this dude before he did something stupid, just as dumb as his father did, like killing two people, like he had to have known he was going to get caught. This guy couldn't have been very smart, you know what I mean? And look how the apple fell not very far from the tree. They say he put several rolling 60 gang members in jail before he was sentenced, and he got a guy from Hoover. I forgot his name, but I'll try to see if I can find his name and put it in the chat, or but yeah, he got a guy from Hoover locked up, and supposedly he was killed in prison, years later. But yeah, it's probably a good thing that they caught this dude before he killed somebody, like his dad did. Because one thing about a criminal is once they believe that their crimes are being unseen, or they're not being caught for their crimes, they move on to bigger crimes, and who knows if he would went from stripping the guy in the back of no jumper to murdering somebody, thinking that he would get away with it, in these messed up times where nobody gets away with crimes, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, here we go.
He was socializing with Patrick and Darius at the Spring Street home. It was then that Nutty told Patrick he was going to set up a drug deal with victims Jack Thomas. Telephone records indicated that on the day of the murders, 3 calls were made between Nutty's house and an air-conditioned business called ARA. Both victims, Barron and Thomas, worked at ARA. Fellow ARA employee Londell Richardson testified that on the day of the murders, he overheard a telephone conversation by Thomas and Barron, indicating they were planning to go to a bar to transact a drug deal involving 50 racks and 3 or 4 keys of coke. In preparation for the drug transaction, Nutty, Patrick, and Darius went to Nutty's house, where Nutty assembled packages of torn phone book pages, which he wrapped to resemble bundles of cash, placing them in a plastic bag. Nutty also bought 3 guns, which were later found at the scene of the crime: a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver, a .38 caliber Titan automatic pistol and a carbine rifle. Patrick drove Nutty and Darius in his blue Chevy Blazer to the parking lot of the bar. After they parked, Nutty hopped out of the truck and went over to Barron, whose truck was parked in the back of the lot. As Thomas stood next to the truck, Nutty spoke with them for 30 to 45 minutes. After the long drawn-out conversation, Nutty returned to the Blazer and told Patrick that they were going to follow Barron and Thomas to a house in Southgate. Barron and Thomas drove out of the parking lot together in a blue Chevy Sprint, an ARA company car that Thomas often drove. Nutty, Patrick, and Darius proceeded to follow the Sprint as far as the freeway, but Nutty decided at the last moment not to follow and told Patrick to drive instead back to his house. There, they dropped off the guns in the plastic bag of fake cash. This is where the plot thickens, as Darius would give a slightly different account than that of Patrick of the events at the bar parking lot. Darius' story goes like this. While he was waiting in Patrick's truck, he saw a Camaro drive in. A Hispanic man got out of the Camaro and approached Patrick's truck. After the Hispanic man walked away, Patrick said that was Tony. Tony then went over and talked to Nutty and Barron. Barron left with Tony in the Camaro. Patrick, however, denied seeing someone named Tony that night. Another witness, Jose Picano's testimony, was in accord with Patrick, and Barron and Thomas left together in the blue Chevy Sprint. The story doesn't end here. Nutty and Patrick drove to the Spring Street home in separate cars. Nutty drove his new Mercedes 190E, which he parked in the driveway. Patrick drove his Chevy Blazer with Darius as his passenger and parked in the front of the house. Nutty, Patrick, and Darius stayed in front of the house drinking beer for about an hour, plotting about the lick that they were about to hit. They would all eventually make their way to the vacant upstairs apartment and continue to drink while smoking weed. At some point, Nutty received a page and made a call. Nutty would then tell Patrick that Barron wanted to come to the house.
Yeah, bro, this dude couldn't have been very smart. It's like two twins, man. Look at the stuff that Loose Cannon's doing, man, and look at the things that this goofball tried to get away with. Murder in the broad daylight, right in his own neighborhood. Yeah, it's a good thing that they caught Loose Cannon, because by now he probably would have committed a red rum, should I say, you know what I mean, unaliving. So yeah, man, and sometimes, man, the police gotta save a person from themselves, because people that are so dumb, you know, they go out there doing crimes and they think that they're not gonna get caught, man. So the biggest favor that the police might have did for this dude was taking him to jail right now, and he may get up under an OG, and they may teach him something, but they're probably gonna poke the dog shit out of him first for all of this crazy stuff that he was doing on No Jumper. You know what I mean? Telling on Big U and telling on everybody. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's gonna get a horrible punishment first, and he might have to hit that PC yard, but eventually he'll probably get an OG that'll take him under his wing and maybe teach the dude something, you know. But sad, man. But like I say, the apple don't fall far from the tree.
To do the drug deal. In the meantime, Dino had arrived and joined the others in the upstairs apartment. About 10 minutes after Dino arrived, Barry in the blue Sprint. It was at this point that Nutty went outside to talk to them. Upon returning, Nutty told Patrick that they should go to Nutty's crib to get the guns and the fake cash. They left and returned as Barron and Thomas waited in their car parked outside. After nearly 2.5 hours of bullshitting, the lick was about to go down. Nutty, Patrick, Barron, and Thomas found the upstairs apartment, but Darius and Dino were waiting. Patrick entered the apartment first. Upon entering, he heard someone say, Get down, don't nobody move. That someone was none other than Nutty, who pulled out a 38 caliber revolver. Patrick was also strapped with a 38 caliber handgun as Barron and Thomas lie on the floor. It was at this point that Nutty would take shoestrings out of his coat pocket and instructed the others to tie the victim's hands and feet as Darius went through their pockets and removed their wallets. From the way this story has been painted, Nutty has been drawn out as the ringleader. The planned Jack move is still going down. Nutty propped up Barron, who was now bound against one of the walls, with his feet in front of him and his hand behind his back. Nutty put the 38 caliber revolver up to Barron's face, demanding the 3 birds of yayo. It was at this point that Nutty would tell Darius to move the car, which was parked in front of the Spring Street home, in case the victim's homies came looking for them. Nutty wasn't fucking around, as he would tell Barron to call his homies on the phone and tell them that all of the money was there, warning him not to speak Spanish. Kneeling and holding his gun, Nutty dialed the phone and held the receiver up to Barron's ear. Barron, scared for his life, told Nutty that the phone was not making a connection. Still holding his gun, Nutty brought the phone down and started redialing the number. As Nutty was dialing, his gun discharged, shooting Barron in the chest. Nutty then got up off his knees, walked over to Thomas, who was lying bound on the floor across the room, and shot him twice in the head. Nutty then walked back over to Barron and shot him in the head once. After the shootings, Nutty, Patrick, and Dino went to the backyard. They waited for Darius to return from moving the victim's car. Having no idea what to do next, Nutty proposed moving the bodies. Patrick moved the Blazer from the street into the garage of the Spring Street home, closing the garage doors behind him. All 4 of them worked to move the dead bodies of Barron and Thomas into the back of the Blazer. In a poor attempt at getting rid of evidence, Darius unsuccessfully attempted to clean up some of the blood on the garage floor by throwing a bucket of water on it. Anxious to make a move, Nutty and the others were ready to drive off with the bodies, but out of nowhere, Dino yelled out a warning that the police were coming. About 20 to 30 minutes had elapsed between the shootings and the arrival of the police. Nutty and the 3 others fled, leaving the Blazer with the victims' bodies in the back seat, where police would discover them. George Brett Williams, aka Nutty, was convicted of the 1990 slayings of 2 Los Angeles men who were to sell him several bricks of yayo, per Deputy District Attorney Kevin McCormick. He was scheduled to be sentenced by Judge Madge Wackey in Compton. The district attorney's office sought the death penalty because George Williams had been involved in violent incidents since he was a teen. For the most part, you can look at the history of a gang member and figure out what happened, where things went wrong. However, for George Williams, this was not the case. George came from a very wealthy family, had a loving mother and father, and was given every possible opportunity to succeed in life. George's attorney, Ronald Lemieux, stated in court that he intended to file a motion for a new trial. Authorities said that in January of 1990, George Williams and 3 other gang members planned to steal drugs from Jack Barron and Willie Thomas. According to the DA, George and his partners cut up pages from a telephone book, wrapping them in paper bags that they were going to pass off as bundles of cash.
See what I mean? This dude could have been smart. They try to cut up bundles of newspaper to give to somebody, for fake. It's fake money. You know what I mean, bruh? These dudes couldn't have been very smart.
During trial, witnesses testified that George's gun accidentally went off, striking one of the victims in the chest. Afraid that any survivors would testify, George allegedly shot both men point blank in the head. Then thereafter, George and his homies robbed the dead men and stole their car. George's homies are serving life sentences for their roles in the shooting. In 1991, a Los Angeles County jury found George Brett Williams, aka Big Nutty, guilty of 2 first-degree murders and found true the special circumstance allegations of multiple murder. and that the murders were committed while Nutty was engaged in the commission or attempted commission of a robbery. The jury further found Nutty guilty of 2 counts of second-degree robbery and found true that Nutty personally used a firearm in the commission of the felony offenses. After the penalty phase, the jury returned a verdict of death. Trial court denied Nutty's motion for a new trial and for modification of the penalty and sentenced him to death. Despite Nutty being convicted and as being the mastermind and orchestrator of this double murder, could it all just be karma? Although Nutty was sentenced to death, the streets of LA would tell a different story, one that consists of set hopping and snitching. According to actual Rolling 60 members, Nutty was only part of the gang for a very short time, 5 to 6 months to be exact, before he snitched on damn near the entire hood. Word on the streets is that Nutty is the most legendary snitch in the history of the 60s. In fact,
I guess like they show right here, Eddie Boy. They show Eddie Boy right here on the video. I guess he had a encounter with George Williams, aka Big Nut, aka Big Loose Cannon. He had an encounter with this dude a long time ago, and Razé came on Money's channel, exotic. Money's exotic channel, and let everybody know that Loose Cannon's father was a rat. You know what I mean? And he said he had the paperwork and everything, but this guy was bad news from the jump. He was only from the Rolling 60s for 5 months before he took down, like, you know, a big portion of people. You know what I mean? Before he was sentenced to life in prison. But you can probably go to Money's channel and check out. I think he made it into a short. You can go on his channel and check it out, where Razé tells the whole chat that Loose Cannon's father was a terrible rat back in those days, which means he wasn't very smart. You know, so y'all can go check that out. Right here they're gonna show Eddie Boy from Rolling 60 speaking about him.
Before being put on, members are given a briefing about Nutty, as well as given a strict warning not to be like him.
Daddy got put on. Daddy was from the hood like 5 months before he turned in the whole neighborhood. He the greatest snitch of all time from 60s. I'm talking about as soon as you get put on 60s, they're gonna talk about the nigga daddy. Hey, you don't want to be this guy. The nigga daddy was in protective custody. I got the paperwork.
This is Razé right there. He's letting everybody know about this clown. You know what I mean? And I remember when he came on Money's Live and told us all about him. You know, gave us a rundown about Loose Cannon's father. You know what I mean? Yeah, y'all check this out.
Copies of it. Nigga daddy was in protective custody before he turned the hood and all type of shit. You know what I mean? All type of shit.
OG Cartoon from 53rd Street Avalon Crips at one point took to his YouTube channel to run an app about having a beef with Nutty.
Man, I'm back again, man. This is a story. The homie Crazy.
This is Cartoon talking about him, you know, so he had to have been a pretty big name back in those days. You know what I mean? You know, some of the big names knew who this guy was back in his times, you know, and they speak about him going down as one of the biggest rats in history. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Crazy Ray. And a guy by the name of Nutty. You know, me and his father had an issue back in the day. Anyway, so now when the dude pull up and go to woof it, whoa. he kind of woofing that Ray. Now you already know, homie, in my heart, that's a no-no. That was a no-no off the rip. So boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, y'all can go to Demon Time Exotics to find that footage of Rosé speaking about Big Nut or whatever. You know what I mean? Big Nut, and no, he just gave us the information about him snitching on all the Rolling 60s. Demon Time Exotics. And who else spoke? Oh, Cartoon spoke about him. You know, a couple of people spoke about him.
Ray immediately draw down. Boom. So when Ray draw down on Slim, I'm next to him. The dude Nutty from 60s, he draw down. So when he draw down, I draw down on him.
To further add insult to injury, Munchie B will speak on the fake loose cannons pop wow on the No Jumper podcast.
Termaine and Jermaine, they brother, they twin brothers. They dad, the snitch, he's from Athens Park Bloods. He's from Hoover, 59 Hoover. What?
This is Munchie B talking about him. So, like I say, he had to have been a pretty big name. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to look up his paperwork after this and possibly go over his paperwork. But yeah, this lets you know right there that this dude had to have been a pretty big name.
Wait, what?
And then he's from Rolling 60s Crip. Like
the dad trip hop 3 times?
Bro, listen.
I'm trying to get to the bottom of this here, guys.
Sweetie! Bro, all Rolling 60 Crips. Nigga, listen. His dad was from Anthony Park Bloods to 59 Hoover to Rolling 60 Crip. He's a notorious snitch. He took people down. It's like it lines up with their behavior. Like they you know what I'm saying? Like how you go all these hoods and you stitching on people, and then, bro, Sweetie!
This dude is just like his daddy. This dude, Luce Cannon. This dude is a rat. He told on Big U. He told on mine.
George Nutty Williams, aka Luce Cannon's dad.
His daddy's lied on so many people. 4 different people got him life sentence.
Little Eddie Boy ended up getting convicted of. And this is when the name George Williams comes in.
That's Kev Mack talking about him right there. Everybody go check out Kev Mack. He's the gang historian, you know, but I'm not sure what episode that is right there, but he talks about Luce Cannon's forgotten father, George Williams, aka Big Luce Cannon.
Devil from 59 Hoover that he told on lost his life, brother, in the penitentiary because this
Devil, that's the guy's name right there, y'all. Devil from 59 Hoover. He lied on Devil from 59 Hoover and got him a life sentence, and he ended up dying in jail. You know, maybe by now they would have found out that he was falsely, you know, locked up, and they probably would have released him. But you know, that never got to happen because he passed away in prison.
dude's daddy, Luce Cannon's daddy, Nutty, lied on that man, got that man a lifetime because he was a high powered rat informant.
There was a $25,000 reward for anyone that could solve that case.
And I'm telling you, bro, these informants, they will make up shit on you and they will lie on you just because they can get to that bag, bro.
You can keep the shit straight.
But yeah, y'all, that was the video that I was telling you guys about, and you can find it on 504 Street Stories on YouTube. And y'all go check that guy's content out. He has some pretty good content on this channel. And, you know, he did a pretty good story about Luce Cannon, a.k.a. Luce Coochie's father, George Williams, a.k.a. Big Luce Cannon. So, yeah, y'all go over there and check that out, man. And thank everybody who came over to check this out. This is one of my many live streams to come because I got to get those watch hours down. You know what I mean? So everybody that possibly stuck their head in and popped back out or rubberneck, like S-Bone would call it. Can y'all please hit that like button on your way out or on your way in? I would appreciate it. But like I said, this is going to be the first of many live streams. Later on, I'm going to show a live stream where they talk about rappers that had industry nightmares. You know what I mean? So y'all come check me out a little bit later on, and I'm gonna play that for y'all. And but that's my time, y'all, and that's my video about Luce Caboose Cannon and his father. The apple don't fall far from the tree. So yeah, y'all hit that thumbs up, share, and subscribe if y'all can. If y'all can't, that's cool too. And I appreciate you guys coming to check me out. Y'all have a good day.